Although it was built with the best of intentions, it's impossible to rhapsodise about this Hungarian goulash of a circuit. In 1986, it hosted the first Grand Prix to be held in what was then the Eastern Bloc, and more than 200,000 people turned up to watch. Unfortunately, despite the fact that the Hungaroring is set in a natural amphitheatre, affording spectators a marvellous view of the racing, there was no racing, because the circuit's many constant radius corners and short straights made overtaking practically impossible. Having brought this processional track into being with much song and dance, 2 years later, Formula One then abandoned one of the truly great racing circuits, the Österreich-Ring. Philippe Streff in the Tyrrell gives us a good idea of the circuit's amphitheatre effect. And also of the Hungaroring's processional qualities. Run is ended when we get one in the eye from Nelson Piquet's Williams. Now this is more like it. Imola is a real racing circuit that all the drivers love. You can almost sense Derek Warwick's enjoyment in his Renault. Named after Enzo Ferrari and his son Dino, Imola is a classic track, and nobody minds that Italy has fiddled itself a second Grand Prix by pretending that its location, San Marino, is a country in its own right. Maybe Brands Hatch and Donington should claim independence. As we begin another lap, Warwick accelerates hard, approaching 190 miles an hour by the time he turns into Tamburello. Then it's flat out down to Villeneuve Curve before braking hard for the acute left-hander at Tosa. And accelerating up over the hill to Piratella. Next, we go through the Acqua Minerale chicane at around 100 miles an hour and back up to 190 before the Variante Alta, which leads to another very fast stretch before Rivazza. Now we go through Variante Bassa and up to the chicane, and Derek returns to the pits. Kyalami is another great circuit which has disappeared. A new one's been built, but this one is lost forever. So make the most of these 3 laps with Alain Prost in the Renault. That's Alain's teammate Eddie Cheever going by. Now let's go for a flying lap with the 2 Renaults. We pass the pits and head towards the famous Crowthorne corner at over 200 miles an hour, going into the corner at about 115. Downhill to Barbecue Bend, which is taken at about 155. Then through the Jungskai sweep, heading towards the right-hander at sunset, going through at around 150 miles an hour in 4th gear. Then it's down to 2nd for Clubhouse at 100. Into the S's in 3rd. A bit of adverse camber here. Into 2nd for Leo Kopp, and then accelerate hard up through the gears. To the kink, and as Eddie Cheever heads for the pits, we continue. In 1984, Prost set the fastest lap here at over 133 miles an hour. Kyalami is over 1,600 metres above sea level, making it very hard on the turbo engines. In the mid-1980s, the uncertain political atmosphere in South Africa brought about the end of the country's Grand Prix after the 1985 event. It was revived in 1992, but on the new circuit. For those of us who loved the old one, Kyalami isn't Kyalami anymore. The United States Grand Prix West found its home here in 1976 after Englishman Chris Pook persuaded the authorities that a motor race through the streets would put the town on the map. He was right, but the Americans never took to Formula One. So in 1984, the Grand Prix circus departed and Indy cars moved in. That's the Brabham team of Niki Lauda and John Watson flashing past as Patrick Depailler leaves the pit lane in his Tyrrell Ford. Unlike other American street circuits, Long Beach wasn't built on the grid system, so it's not all right-angled bends and tall buildings. Cars can actually race and pass one another. That's Hadstock Shadow going through at the first hairpin, and now we accelerate hard down Shoreline Drive. It was while Clay Regazzoni was under heavy braking in his ensign here for Queen's Hairpin that his brake pedal snapped in 1980, and the ensuing crash ended the popular Swiss driver's colourful career. And as we round Queen's Hairpin, Jean-Pierre Jabouille goes past in the Renault Turbo. Incidentally, this was the first time that Alain Boinard was allowed to send his camera out among other cars. Previously, he'd been confined to 5 minutes or so before official practice. Now we accelerate up the short hill which leads onto Ocean Boulevard and the finish, but not the start. That is on Shoreline Drive. Down the chute and onto Linden Avenue. Depailler is trying really hard now as he takes us for another lap. We end part one of Lap of the Gods where we began, at Monaco. By rights, this circuit should have been abandoned long ago, for it fails to meet several demands made of all other circuits by the sport's governing body. Racing here because we have a fascinating bonus for you. In 1976, Ken Tyrrell unveiled his sensational six-wheel car, designed by Derek Gardner. At Monaco, Alain Boinard had the Tyrrell stripped of its bodywork, fixed one camera on the very front, close to the tarmac, and another on a special Eiffel Tower mounting. This gives us a fascinating bird's-eye view of Patrick Depailler and those four front wheels in action. Be amazed.
Now you've seen that little lot, I'm sure you'll agree that Grand Prix drivers do earn their money. However, we're only halfway through Lap of the Gods, and in part 2 we'll bring you more terrific stuff as our gifted chauffeurs take us around another 11 circuits, including Montreal and Monza, Silverstone and Spa. Don't miss it.